Welcome to our first Friday Live. Thank you for joining us. I saw the cursor flying around my screen and I had my microphone on mute. I completely apologize. We'll keep moving forward. So the purpose of this is to learn how to do supplements as best as you can. We are very good at what we do, and a lot of what we do is to teach and learn. And we are very excited to have you aboard today and to teach you how to make better supplements and be successful. This is all done through what we focus on for 2.5 hours to 5 hours a day, which is our training. We work very hard at training our people in being successful supplementers, in being successful people in the industry. And it is a constant work in progress. It's not something that you do once and then it's all parties after that. It takes a lot of work, a lot of reflection. So what we're going to do is we're going to present to you on a weekly basis different aspects of our training that make us better supplementers, that continuously sharpen our skills. And so we'll get started with our presentation. Okay. And in our presentation, we're going to talk about successful supplementing. So for a lot of people, successful supplementing is really a crapshoot. It's a pick of the draw. Sometimes we get a good adjuster, sometimes it's a company that pays everything, sometimes it's a horrible adjuster with a bad attitude. They never pay anything, I can't get anything out of them. This company never does supplements. And this is a common perspective that people who start supplementing take on. Well, this is not true. The whole supplementing process and the sole success of your supplementing abilities comes from you completely. It doesn't matter who the adjuster is, who the carrier is. It's all about you and how you prepare yourself, how you prepare and collaborate with your homeowners, how you consistently use the tools that you have, your talent, your know-how, your expertise, and how you continually build your knowledge about supplementing. And for us, that's the most important part. Building our knowledge about how to get these things done is 1/3 of our training curriculum. Our emotional intelligence here at SFY is very high, and we focus a lot of our time on this because without our emotional intelligence, there is no supplementing. It does become a luck of the draw. It becomes random. It doesn't become at all focused. And so we do not operate that way. There's no way you could be successful if you did. And so when we go through our training, one big part of it is that emotional intelligence, knowing where we are, what we're bringing to the table, knowing everything about all the other players in the supplement, our homeowner, our client, as well as our collaborators on the insurance side. Once we've got a good tune on our emotional intelligence, we then focus on our technical skills. And this can range from anything from being as mundane as knowing Xactimate inside out, knowing line items, reviewing revisions and updates to the database, finding the glitches and correcting or making adjustments for these so that we are building accurate and focused real-world scopes for jobs. It also includes our construction knowledge, material knowledge, as well as the knowledge of what area we're working in. Are there codes? Are there city codes or state codes that need to be adhered to and included in the scope of loss? So we focus, again, 1/3 of our time on this. And then another third, and the last third, is spent on continuous practice. And this is not just our day-to-day job. We actually practice. We do mock rebuttals. We do mock situations where we practice escalating files from an adjuster to a supervisor to a manager. We review what has gone right and what has gone wrong by reviewing live calls. We offer each other feedback and constructive criticism so that we continue to learn. And it's a very exciting part of what we do. But all of this ties back down to our emotional intelligence, because it is only here that we're able to understand what do we need to focus on in our practice. What technical skills are we lacking or are we strong in? And so that's where we're going to begin today in our successful supplementing segment. So emotional intelligence involves knowing what you're bringing to the table in a supplement. You have to be aware of what are your strengths, what are you good at, what are the limiters, the things that you may have some control over or do not have control over that keep you from maximizing your supplements. And then most importantly, what are your triggers? What are the things that set you off or bring you to a point where you jump off the rails and the supplement gets completely stalled out because the focus is no longer on the supplement, it's on your emotions. The next thing to emotional intelligence is knowing what the other side brings to the table, our insurance collaborators. What are their strengths and limiters? What are the things that set them off? And it is important that we know these things, because these are the things that we're going to then be able to leverage and use to our advantage and know to avoid so that they do not get thrown off, so that they don't become distracted and jump off the rails and stall out their learning process in this whole supplement experience. Finally, in emotional intelligence, you have to have the right attitude, and you have to constantly give yourself an attitude check. Are you being positive? Are you completely confident in what you're doing? And if not, what is it that keeps you from doing that? And focus on building that up. Are you an active listener? Do you take in all of the information, or do you start to listen and then cut people off as you're formulating responses in your head? Are you collaborative? Are you looking to pick a fight, or are you looking to bring somebody over to your side? It is very important to be collaborative, and we'll talk about this. And you'll constantly hear me refer to our collaborators on the insurance side, because that's what I truly believe they are. If we could get them to collaborate with us, to bring them to our side, to enlighten them, to pull them out of that cave, so that they've seen the light and they will never go back into the cave. That is my goal. So what are you bringing to the table? Well, obviously you're bringing a lot of experience, your construction know-how, how your teams work, what is happening out in the field, what the materials are like, what materials are on the market, which ones are no longer on the market, what the situation with the supply house is. Those are all your strengths. Those are the things that you're bringing to the table that nobody can take away from you. You also have a rapport that you've already built with your client, your homeowner. You know what's important for them because you've done your active listening. You know that although they need that new roof, their big priority was a flower pot that grandma gave to them that got damaged during the hailstorm. You know this person better than the collaborator on the insurance side does, than the field adjuster does, because you spend more time with this person than they do. Use that to your advantage. You also have limiters. There's obviously the homeowner's policy will have things that are outside of your control. It may include metal marring exclusions. It may include being an ACV versus an RCV policy. It may include deductible percentages. So there are things that you need to be aware of that are outside of your control. so that you don't get hung up on your supplements focusing on those items, because there may be no chance of getting that because of the policy language. And there may be other limiters that you need to consider for that job. Every job is very unique. Every job is something else than the one prior, than the next job. Understand what the limiters are. Is it the weather? Is it the location? Is it your client, your homeowner? Understand all these things and always keep them as a part of the working conversation in the supplement. And then know your triggers. Okay? You have to know your triggers. You have to know what it is that really gets under your skin and how you can avoid that from happening, because you want to always be in a responsive versus a reactive mode. If you let yourself react to a response from an adjuster, from a homeowner, from anybody, a crew member, things will spiral out of control, the focus will be lost, and the supplement will get stalled out. So you have to understand what it is that sets you off and know when it's happening. Have the courage and the foresight to say, okay, I'm starting to get very aggravated, very angry. I can't think clearly. You know what, Mr. Adjuster? I have another call coming in. This homeowner's been trying to get in touch with me. Let me give you a call in 10 minutes. End the call, cool down, regain your focus, and then reinitiate that supplement process. Don't let yourself get into a tangle and then stall it out. That way you cool off, the adjuster cools off, and you can start anew. Triggers are a very big thing, and if you have a control of that, you have a very strong emotional intelligence. Our estimators are constantly working on these, and we see constant growth because they are self-aware of what it is that sets them off. So what are they bringing to the table? Well, our collaborators bring the policy to the table, and the policy states that they're just there to review coverage. Really, that's all they're there to do. Everything else is on you and the homeowner. The proof of the claim, the proof of the supplement, the support for all this is on you. The insurance company doesn't have to lift a finger. It's all on you. And they know that, and they'll use that to their advantage. And so their limiter is typically, that they're overworked. Okay? For every claim that we handle on a wind and hail claim, there's 7 that the adjuster is handling on top of that are not being supplemented on, because they're handling not only wind and hail, they're handling water losses, fires, collisions, in some cases where you have multi-line carriers, where the adjuster handles all types of losses. They're handling liability, injury, medical. So they're overworked and really just to the tattered edge. They're undertrained. Why? Because they don't have the time. And it is not convenient for the insurance carrier to train their people to do what you and I do. It is convenient for them to train them in what is covered and what isn't, and to look at everything on black and white and how to say no because there's not proof, because there is not, you haven't sufficiently supported your need for overhead and profit, for flashing, for supervision hours, for a generator, for a toilet. Okay, they're going to push that. Why? Because they don't understand. They're not trained. They don't know. They work for QA. Their whole process, their whole promotion, their compensation, their bonus is all based on their QA scores. And so they fall into a survival mode versus a thriving mode. Their limiters really kill their spirit. And they become reactive. They react to everything rather than respond. And that's why we get collaborators who are low on the emotional intelligence scale, who do not return calls, who do not send back emails, who do not give answers as to why things are not being covered or are not being approved for supplements, because they're reactive people. And what's made them this is their entire environment. Their environment triggers this. They work in that little cubicle with all that paperwork, or they're having to zip around town from loss to loss because they have to close a minimum of 15 files a week with their inspections. So they work for QA, they work for the numbers. They're not working for the customer. They're definitely not working for you and I. And so knowing these things, we have to bring them aboard. We have to work at having the right attitude. We can't let this get us down. We have to be positive and empathetic to what it is they do. We have to build a rapport with them so that this experience of supplementing for them is not another ugly task that tears them down. It could be a great experience that builds them up because they get fulfillment. They become more knowledgeable. They become more productive. They become more able to assist their customer rather than trying to just meet numbers. Definitely, your active listening will help in this. What you want to do is make sure that you're being patient. Let them get it all out. Let them just blab away and tell you, no, I'm not paying for this, there's no way, blah, 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 until they run out of steam. Once they're out of steam, their whole tone will change because they've released all the pressure. They will be more ready to listen because they're exhausted. Be empathetic towards them. Build that rapport with them. Let them release. And then ask probing questions. Ask them, well, okay, tell me a little bit about why you cannot pay for the flashing. And they'll start going off and telling you everything you need to know. Take note. Keep your active listening. Do not interrupt them. Let them go off. And keep asking those probing questions so that as you're taking notes on their responses, you can then summarize what it is they told you and respond to them. I understand that the flashing is not damaged by the hail, but as part of the roofing system, it all comes off. Just like the felt. The felt is not damaged by the hail, yet it's part of the roofing system and has to be removed. We have to come back with a full system because that's what they had before the hailstorm. And there's no way I'm going to put in half a system by leaving bent, rusted, perforated flashing that's going to leak, because that's not what they had before the hailstorm. It's all one big package. They'll be more open to that on this back end because they will understand what you're saying after having released all the pressure. Then be collaborative. Okay? Look to have them join you, not fight you. You don't want to engage them in a fight because beating them down on one topic is not going to keep the supplement going. It's going to completely stall it out. And it's going to distract you from the whole supplement. You're going to be completely lost because you're too busy fighting somebody. If you're busy getting them on board with you, you stay focused. You stay on point. And the supplement is the goal, not a turf battle, not a I'm bigger, you're bigger match. No, it's the supplement that's the goal. Look to your peers. There may be people who are good at active listening, who are good at being empathetic, who are good at taking notes. Look to them if these are some of your limiters, or if you have triggers that other people are easily overcoming. Look to them so that you can all grow together. It may be somebody on a crew, it may be another project manager, it may be a supplementer, it may be me here at SFY. Look to them and learn from them. Look to the experts. Bring in the right documentation from the city. This will help to move a supplement very quickly because it now really brings in that expert level. Use your installation instructions. That helps. Don't be afraid to bring in supplemental documentation from the city or the manufacturer so that you can move your supplement along. Remember, being collaborative means giving and taking. You have to give in order to take. Be ready to surrender or to sacrifice some items so that you can leverage that in getting what is most important. And you know what's most important, again, because of your expertise and your definite professionalism, but also because you've built the rapport with the homeowner and you know what's important to them and you're incorporating that in the conversation. Be willing to give and take, and that includes be willing to teach and to learn. I can't tell you how many times we have actually sat here at SFY in our training sessions and listened to a live recording of one of our estimators with an adjuster, where the adjuster was highly emotionally intelligent and taught us so much on how to advance our supplement, on how to approach or word our supplements, on how to scope a loss. It happens more often than not, but we're so busy trying to take that we forget. We're trying to take line items, but not information. So it's important to learn so that we can teach and get everybody on the same page and continue to work as collaborators. So those are some of the basics of emotional intelligence. That's what we focused on today. As we progress every Friday, we'll go through the other aspects of our training. We're going to look at technical skills next week. And then after that, we're going to include you in some of our practice sessions so that you may listen and see how we not only go through a rebuttal, but the feedback that we give each other to continue and to grow in our skills. So that's where our presentation ends for today. I'd love to apologize one more time for the audio glitch at the beginning. That makes for a good story. I remember the first live. I didn't turn the mic on. Okay, so we're glad you were able to join us. I want you to leave us comments on what works for you in your emotional intelligence. What are your triggers, or what is it that you do to build that rapport with an adjuster, whether you're on site or over the phone, in order to keep the focus on the supplement and keep that focus running. If you have some questions regarding supplements, leave those in the comments too, or requests for certain items, leave that there, and we'll try to work that in, not only into this session, but very definitely into our daily training session at SFY. It's been my pleasure and my privilege to share this time with you. I look forward to seeing you next week, and take care. Have a great Friday, everybody.